Well, hello there. My name is Jason. Welcome to my channel, people. If you're a new subscriber, hi. If you're an old subscriber, thank you for showing up. I've been doing some freelance work for Page One Comics. They have a new book out called Dragonrage. I'd been on their Discord and their community for a while, on their live streams, and Jimmy Reyes offered me the opportunity to color this piece. This is artwork that was submitted by a gentleman named Enrique Pina. Enrique Pina is an artist. He's a game developer. His only real social media is here on Artstation, and obviously he's into 3D. Very good artist. Works in ink. He's a fan of apparently of comic book style artwork. He submitted this, and he impressed Jimmy. Jimmy wants to put it in the book, and he asked me to color it, so I gladly accepted. Here we have this beautiful artwork here. A couple of notes, little production notes. This is a process video, and a couple of pitfalls and speed bumps I had to get over doing this thing. First of all, they submitted it to me for coloring at a 600 DPI TIFF file. Now, I mainly only color in Procreate on my iPad. It doesn't support the TIFF format. So I had to take it in Photoshop on my desktop and then do a whole color hold layer, save it as a PNG, transparent background, send it to myself, download it, open it up on this application, and it immediately crashed. When I opened it up again, I was able to look in there and see that because it's 600 DPI and it's a PNG, whatever the problem there was, I only had 4 whole layers to work with. Now, if you're a colorist or Photoshop person, you know what that's like to have very limited layers. Or maybe you don't know what that's like. You probably have some designs that are up in the 20s, some comic book pages that are high 20s and 30s because you're just doing all kinds of little things here and there. I've learned on a 300 DPI 11x17 that you can have 27 layers on Procreate. That's including the line art layer and your panel layer, which I have a separate panel layer when I do mine. So that's 27. I've learned to whittle it down to group flat layers together for the characters, separate from the background, the panel backgrounds on one layer, just trying to save space, have more time for different things. More space for different things. But now I only work with 4, and one of those layers is the ink layer. That was my challenge here. So, and plus the app kept crashing. I've never had anything crash Procreate, and here's this one drawing that was going to be published for sure that was crashing the app every single time. So needless to say, I was tiptoeing a lot. So what I'm used to, a brush taking up half the page would only take up a 16th of the page. We didn't have the coverage that I thought I would have. There's no way to do gradients at the time that I colored this in Procreate, so I had to kind of improvise and do something. So anyways, that's all the whining and crying I've got to do for that. Let's take a look at this time-lapsed video. Now, I know that the time-lapse videos in Procreate that you export, they're kind of grainy, but I'll have some maybe thumbnail on the side or something that you can check out the full resolution image as we go along. So in order to not take chances with royal screw ups and messes, I'm not sure if this really helped me a lot, but I did save it in 3 separate iterations. So I did all the flats first, the background and the flats, and then I saved it again, and on top of that I started doing little effects. I colored directly on the flat layer for both characters and directly on the background for the fire and the flames and stuff, and I eventually just merged the dragon head with the flames, and there's everything in the background. Then I saved that whole document and did all the effects in the next iteration, which was smoke, embers, little glowies, different things like that. I am pushing the record button. It is counting down for me. I'm starting a time-lapse replay video. Alright. Decided on a fire orange. I laid it out here. Immediately I started noodling in the background. I kind of learned just to start with the background and then do your light sources, and then work your way forward. So here, as far as you can see, or as good as you can see, I'm noodling in the highlights on the scales on the face and different things, just making textures and stuff as I go along. One of the things I do in my process is I have 3 different types of brushes. I have a brush that is a regular normal airbrush, varying opacities. Then I have a screen airbrush, and it actually brushes the screen effect with whatever color you got. So if you brush with this orange and then you brush with the screen, same exact orange, you're gonna get a little lighter color, a little more shiny, a little more transparent, and a little desaturated, and it's a little more, you know, looks like a different color. And then I have an add brush, using the add effect when I spray, and that's even lighter and even more desaturated, even more shiny. So those are the ultimate final highlights that I lay down on stuff. You can see some of that right here. Very grainy though. What I will do, I'll lay my base color down in a gradient format. I don't like just straight up flat colors flatly. Okay, I like to have a gradation from light to dark depending on where the light source is. So with the dragon, it's real easy. The light source is right in front of his face, so you can see how on the nose here, the snout, whatever it is, I had the airbrush, and then the screen airbrush for some texture, and then for some form, and then on top of that I got another screen pen or an add brush to do the ultimate highlights. Check out these eyes. These eyes I noodled in. I did one at a time. I'm using a really small airbrush, medium opacity or so, just to get like this feathered iris, where the iris is more like lightning bolts and stuff. The major the major accomplishment here, or the task, was to make both eyes look similar. When I started, I really have no pattern or technique, but then as I get going, I develop something that looks good. And by the time I get to the second eye, they start looking different. So that was the challenge there. But now I'm going on top of that with a white or a super light pink on top of that to let you know that these are ridged folds in the iris here. And on top of that, I remember, see how on these sides here I have the cheeks, or the edges of the dragon's head highlighted. I'm actually spray painting the airbrush right on top of the black layer. I just did that. I just chose the area with the selection tool. I'm just kind of noodling some more stuff here on the head, trying to bring other highlights on the horns and different things on this side. Okay, I'm scrubbing back and forth here just to get ahead of the game here, because I really can't tell, because it's so grainy. I can't really tell where exactly I'm working right now. But I want to do some effects on top of the glassy part of the eye where the fire would be reflecting. So tried some separate things on a different layer and then flattened them out on top. There's real no undoing. That's the thing. When you do things in this method, you take a chance. There's no real undo. You have a limited amount of undos, so you got to decide on something and just go with it. So this is a simple design. It's not complex. There's a dragon in the back and a dude in front, so it's not a lot to really mess up. But you just pray that when Jimmy sees it, he likes how it is and doesn't ask for a bunch of changes. But this is just fan art, so he's not really probably going to be real picky about that. Okay, so I've got the dragon all finalized there. Okay, in the foreground, I started flattening Traego. I'm gonna rewind a little bit. So I start off with maybe what the shadow color might be, and I'll just use that. I'll darken this this bluish gray. I'll just darken it with hue, saturation, lightness, dialogue, and I'll start dropping flats in there. So as you see, I have gradation. I have a smooth transition from one color to the next. I decided that it was too bold color, so I just desaturated a little bit and start airbrushing some of the light highlights on there. I'll start off with my regular airbrush and then hit it up with the add and the screen alternately to bring out highlights and do different things, like to really wash out this bottom here and blend it into the fire. I know the fire is going to be super bright, so I just made the knees and the bottom of the garment very bright. As you see here, trying to create some highlights. and different things where I believe the light from the fire would be hitting his garment. I gave it some texture, like he's got some kind of like some kind of armor, not just a cloth skirt. That's how Enrique drew it. So here I'm just dropping highlights where I think they belong, right down here below. So I'll go ahead, like I said, with my regular airbrush, then with my screen airbrush, and later on I'll go back with a screen pen. And if I really need some high desaturated, like highlights, bright and shiny stuff, I'll go back with my add pen or my add brush and bring those things out. It just seems like it works better that way. So I can't do like a layer breakdown or a layer reveal thing because there's only 4 layers on this guy. So anyway, as me dialing in that dragon head there, I think I start working a little more on the bottom here, doing rim lights and areas of extreme highlight, I guess you could say, or really light yellow. All along the bottom there. Don't know where I'm at here. I'm not sure. Okay, so there you go. So I'll use the add brush to really like bathe this area in some bright light and just bring it close to white as you can. I really like the way the arm came out when I was doing the highlights on it, painting with light basically. The highlights are good, but it really made the difference when I just slapped some actual yellow on it. See right there, when the color comes on, that looks real good, and I was satisfied with that. And then now I have to duplicate it on the other side, but the other arm is like at a different angle. He already drew in some shadow there for his little gauntlet scale spikes, so I went with a different look to that arm, but the same kind of method applies. I try to figure out where the light would probably be hitting, and wherever I think light would be hitting, I try to do a nice little gradation, little cut and grade there. Then I'll take my my screen pen and drop some highlights in there and try to give it some texture as well. So I'm dialing in this arm over here on this side. I also use a smudge brush, just for that reason. Like if something looks a little too digital, a little too hard edged, then I will take the smudger and smear it out, make it look a little more softer on the edges. This is just regular cut and grade there on that side armor, making it look all hexagonal over here. There we go. I'm taking a different color, like an orange, that's reflecting off the dragon, or the light as it's dissipating is becoming more orange, and so I'm putting a rim light around his shoulders and his upper body with that orange. Even touching up, looks like the belt buckle and everything with that. I started the other arm. I don't know if you can tell, but this kind of has a whole different color to it. When I started here, it's like an orange compared to the yellow. I even did a bunch of stuff on this body. I undid it all. I had a little color confusion there for a while. See the highlights? Anyways, a little color confusion. I had to pitch shift it. That's what I call it. Pitch shifting it back down to the yellow. But the highlights dropping in there, so I'll just stop with the airbrush and take the pen, the screen pen, and go back and start straight up inking some highlights straight on there, giving it some pretty good texture. There we go, just noodling in here on this shoulder. Where am I going now? Bringing out the shapes of the pec muscles. It's not just one big muscle, but several striations of muscle attaching to the sternum and to parts of the humerus. There you go, some rim lighting there, rim lighting. Makes everything look pretty legit. Makes you realize the whole form of it. Even though something's in shadow, like his left shoulder here, the rim light really brings that out. Noodling some highlights on this shoulder pad strap, shoulder protector deal. Going up on the head here. You can see some of the stuff coming in. I'm trying a red, I'm trying orange. Nothing really panning out, so I just ignore it. That's kind of what I do. Instead of getting all racking your brain over one part, I'll just kind of skip around. Right now I'm doing the beard and the face, trying to get some high under lighting there going on. just to make it. It's going to be like the focus is his face. And like I say, Enrique really drew a really good face on this guy. Well balanced. I mean, I don't know about you, but drawing a face is like the final frontier for me. I take a lot of time on it, and the guy looks like Shannon Doherty by the end, you know. One eye's higher than the other. Okay, so noodling over here on the other side here. Just there you are. And I said, nah, that looks stupid. Now you go on. So I got some undos, but only like 250. So you have to commit, pick a thing and go with it. So here we are. And the orange rim light, that looks pretty legit. I mean, there's not a lot of colors going on in here. The monochrome nature of this thing is, you know, fine with me. There's only one thing this is supposed to evoke: heat, rage, heat, and more rage. So I think the color scheme does that very well. And where am I at now? It's hard to tell. Okay, I'm just gonna do generic over highlighting on this guy here. There you go, on the face, on the shoulders, on the hair. I try to do these little wisps of hair in the back. It doesn't look good, so I delete those. And I do the belt here, finishing touches. I zoom out and zoom back in a lot because sometimes I see something that I don't like from a distance and I gotta zoom in. But I'm just laying down highlights. I want to make sure I got the figure right, the form right. My lighting looks cool. The shadows are in the right place. In this section, I'm dialing in the fire and some more highlights. It's not really this orangey saturated, but fire is the hottest at the base, and it cools as it goes up and dissipates. So I'm taking a light yellow in my screen brush, and I'm selecting areas and spray painting upwards, fading up into nothing. It's giving me a nice little effect here. The orange, I already kind of established the orange first, and then went underneath it with the white, or the super light yellow. For the actual line work, when it goes to black and white here, you can't see it, but I'm selecting the line work, putting on another layer, hitting alpha lock, and spray painting it yellow as well. And then I'm duplicating that layer, taking off the alpha lock, Gaussian blurring it, making it a screen layer, making the bottom one add layer, or vice versa, getting like a little thing going on here. So like you can see the transition here goes to, okay, there's the airbrush layer with the alpha lock, and then it turns like fuzzy, which I did the Gaussian blur on there. Then I changed the blending method so it looks slightly different. This blue area here, I selected the exterior of the figure. It took me a while to do make the selection around them. I had one saved, so I just reopened it up. So that way I can make kind of some smoke effects on top of the line work behind him. This gives you like a little bit of depth, so the dragon's not coming out of his back, but you see like the smoke effects going there. And I see there's some distance there between him. Yeah, and I have a little a cloud brush in Procreate. There's a cloud brush. I also have one that I bought from some other guy who made one, and I use a color and change the render method to screen, and I'll do several passes with it until you can't really tell that it's actually there. You can't tell what the nib shape is. It's clouds, but it looks like smoke, and it's knocking down the back a little bit, so there's some depth here. And the dude in front is still hard black dark lines. And then in the front, on top of everything, I'm going to do another swipe with my select tool. I'm going to do the cloud brush in the middle of it, Gaussian blur it, take the smudger and just kind of push it around so it doesn't look too digital. It doesn't have any hard edges. I play with the opacity a little bit. You barely notice it's there, but it knocks down the black in the area, and it looks like there's some smoke in front of him, and it carries some of the shine from the fire underneath him. So because it's called Cradle of Embers, I put in some embers coming up out of the flames. Big ones in front, little ones in back, even some by the dragon's cheeks. I even call this cheeks. Dragons have jowls. I don't know. There's other ones even way back there, showing that this stuff goes all the way back. It just looks like he's standing in front of this dragon and walking through the fire. Really awesome. Just love it. So that's the process I went through there. And mind you, I had only had 4 layers to work with, so I flatted everything and finalized my dragon. Here's some up close shots of it, and then I saved it and opened it up and then started doing the lighting on the character in the foreground, and saved it again and dialed in the fire and the smoke and the embers, all with 4 layers. And then I just signed my name down there with Mr. Pina. So this is going to be appearing in the upcoming, currently crowdfunded book called Dragonrage, A Cradle of Embers, coming out under the brand new company Page One Comics, who I'm associated with loosely at this time. It's going to be a good book if you like dragons and sword and sorcery, or just super fine detailed artwork in the fantasy genre. And check it out. It's on Indiegogo right now. You would be helping them out. You'd be helping me out. My first real published anything on paper, that is. And also check out my personal project called The Dark Hunter. If you took Star Wars and the Minority Report and put them together, that's the story. Also, Acts chapter 9 in the Bible. That's the story. Go to it. It's on Webtoons. It's free. Link is in the description. The link for the Indiegogo campaign is in the description, as well as Page One Comics website, where you can view a preview of the book that is being crowdfunded at this time. So visit Artstation.com to see Enrique Pina's work. He's a very good artist, and he does a lot of 3D designing, models and different things. He even made a whole xenomorph that rolls around 3D. It's very cool. He's got very good skills. We're glad to have him on the project, and it was a privilege to color this for him. He said he liked it, so I'm glad. Do you like it? Leave a comment. Do you like stuff like this? Do you want to see more commentary like this, process videos? Please leave me a comment, leave me a like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.